One.
Hello, welcome to another stream site. No, I'm giving an intro. I need to get right into the story. Okay, you can. It was the year 2010. There I was, 24 and overly ambitious. Winter of 2010 to be exact. Some good old buddies of mine and my dad decided for the third year in a row, we're gonna go conquer the highest mountains on the east coast of America. And so the prior year we were defeated by severe cold that was outdoing our sleeping bag ratings, boots, etc. And we had to turn around mid-course. Very disappointing. Led to copious amounts of Waffle House on the way home. Anyways, we just said, you know what, we'll upgrade our gear and we'll go conquer this beast again, no matter what the wintry conditions would be. And so there we are, starting to get ready. I was leading the trip. I called the ranger station near Mount Mitchell, which is North Carolina. And he said, yeah, it's pretty deep up there right now, here at the end of December. We're getting reports of 6-foot snowdrifts. And the southern boy in me thought, okay, snowdrifts. I didn't even ask, I just assumed. Snowdrifts are where the snow is neatly piled up on either side of the trail. We'll be good, no problem. So that was big mistake number one. I didn't ask more questions. I decided for all 6 of us, we're going for it. And so we did. First day, we are really excited. The snow is looking good from what we can tell. We are excited about our fresh new gear. And we hit the trail. Full heavy backpacks, ready for 4 days on this mountain range. And on the first day, I think within the first half of day one, a pair of women are coming down the trail towards us. And we have a little chat with them and they said, yeah, we're coming back because at the top, it was just too deep for us. It was up to our waists. And we thought, arrogantly, you're short, we're tall, no problem. So cue big mistake number 2, we pressed on. And so we get to the halfway point up this ridge line where we had camped the prior year for the first night. We set up camp, we have a pretty comfortable experience, and we wake up eager to conquer this beast that is Mount Mitchell. And we continue to ascend the second half toward the ridge line, and the snow is starting to really deepen, and we're up to our knees pretty early on in the second day, and we're thinking, all right. And I had wisely said, you know what, the snow's piled up on either side of the trail, and these mountains are really steep. Snowshoes are pointless, so why would we rent those? So we were just post-holing the whole time. But you know, snow up to your knees, not a crazy problem. So we kept going, and finally we crested the Black Mountains Crest Trail, and started looking down the back of the beast toward Mount Mitchell, several miles down the trail. And by this point, the snow was mid-thigh, maybe even a little higher. And we thought, okay, starting to get a little bit serious, but yeah, let's pause, let's have lunch, let's do some thinking here. So I was taking a look at the distance we needed to our next camp, which was, in theory, Mount Mitchell, compared to the distance to the car where we had come from. And I thought, all right, we're pretty much halfway. So we're kind of at a point of no return. We either press on or we go back. There's really no in between at this point. And confidently, we thought, well, the snow's not going to get much deeper, so let's just go on. There's only 6 miles left. And so we pressed on after lunch, and that was big mistake number 3. So the snow did continue to get deeper, and that was when we really started to understand the meaning of a snowdrift. Instead of these nice, neat, walls on either side of you in this wonderland, it's these waves of snow cutting diagonally or perpendicular to the trail every 30 feet, and you got to plow through each one of them. And so that's when we started to think, oh boy, it's going to be a bit longer of a day than we thought. But we're past the point of no return. So we keep going through wave after wave. We're post-holing, keeps getting deeper, and we start to get tired. Not too tired, but tired enough to say, why don't we rotate? Who's in the front? Share the load, as Gamgee says. And so we did. We got on a 5-6 man rotation, and that helped a lot. And then around, I believe, 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock, when the sun is really starting to come down, that time of year in North Carolina, we started to get a little worried because we were still miles from Mount Mitchell. The snow had very consistently been waist deep through the snow drifts. And my buddy Brandon was allowed on the trip by me with no gaiters. Gaiters are those things that keep the snow out of your boots. And he didn't bring any, and I thought his boots would be enough. So by this point, snow had been accumulating and melting and freezing in his boots. And the rest of us, we were good to go on that issue. And so he was getting worried. I was starting to get worried for him. And we realized by the time it got dark that if we stopped for more than 5 minutes, his feet would get seriously cold. And so we had to keep going. So that is when we started to really realize, okay, we've bitten off more than we can chew here. We're in a bind. And we started to, started praying together, pepping each other up. And Brandon was getting increasingly nervous. So we kept going, and it kept getting deeper. And we kept, the highest point on the trail was the destination for the second day. And so, of course, we're still climbing. And we thought, surely the snow is not going to get that much deeper. And shortly after, it was chest deep. And we're about 12 hours in to this 6 mile, 7-8 mile hike tops, not even that much. And there are spots where the powder is so deep that we're telling each other, hey, maybe don't step there. You might go in over your head. And so got so bad that we ran totally out of water because we're working so hard. We ran out of all of our dry goods to eat, and we weren't going to stop to cook anything for Brandon's sake. And so we're really starting to feel it, and that's when the snow gets even deeper. And we are in these beautiful evergreen fir trees, little piece of Canadian paradise on top of these mountains. And it's such difficult going that we just opt to get up on top of the snow and pull ourselves and drag ourselves across the top of the snow using the branches of these trees, because it's just so crazy. Life without snowshoes. And so 13 to 14 hours later, we make it somehow to the top of Mount Mitchell. It's after 9 o'clock at night. There's this brooding cloud ceiling just right above our heads, overlooking everything. And we get to this 3-sided shelter. There's nobody up there because the whole mountain is shut down, the whole state park on top of Mount Mitchell. But we had a semblance of shelter for a moment. We all circle up, we rejoice, we pray. While my dad is praying, I'm thinking, all right, we got to shorten this prayer up a little here. Brandon is really not doing well. he was really suffering in his boots. And so I set up a tent under the shelter. I got out Brandon's sleeping bag. By this point, he's showing early signs of hyperthermia. Maybe not early signs, full-on signs. He's belligerent, he's illogical. We're all exhausted. And so I'm having to make decisions for him. I'm having to pull his clothes off for him because he doesn't want to do anything logical. Everyone else is outside the tent trying to figure out what to do next. And I get him into his sleeping bag, or at least half of him. And I'm like, all right, rub the blood towards your feet. Just keep working on it, work on it. I was helping him do that. It was really intense. And I took this picture of myself that night where I'm just like, I look like the Walking Dead. By this point, we're dehydrated. We got pounding headaches. The elevation wasn't extreme, but it might have been it certainly wasn't helping with any of that. Miraculously, one of our guys, Harrison, had cell service. And this is 2010 in a wilderness, so pretty impressive. And so he calls the ranger station, and we're at the top of this snowed-in road, and he somehow gets a hold of them, and they happen to be just 2 miles down the road, staying in their high headquarters or whatever it was for Mount Mitchell. So that blew our minds, and they said, yeah, we can drive our truck up and come grab you in 2 trips. So they did, which was huge relief. Brought us down. We all had the best shower of our lives, slept in the best mattress, on the best mattress we've ever slept on, I would say to this day, still true for me. And Brandon's sanity returned to him. So what was so amazing is that obviously that we even had cell service. Even more than that was that the Rangers happened to be there. There was really no guarantee that they were going to be up there and even had the ability to drive, a Ford Ranger or whatever it was to the top of that mountain. And so it was this moment of sobriety, of course, in the middle of a spectacular snowy paradise was our deadly foolishness. You heard those token mistakes. And then right alongside that was God's mercy, just every step of the way. So it was our stubbornness, I should say, especially my stubbornness and my obsession with pushing our limits, that nearly got the better of us that trip. But God prevailed and showed us a ton of mercy. There was this illogical ambition driving me and driving us, year after year on these extreme trips. That should have gotten the better of us, really. But it was God who rescued us from this insanity. And so we learned that we learned way more than we wanted to on that trip. That's obvious. Another cool thing, though, is that trip, 15 years later, continues to give me sobriety as I'm planning a trip, as I'm leading an adventure, whether it's with Youth Dynamics or just outside of the ministry. And so pretty amazing how 15 years later something can be so impactful and ideally continue to demonstrate wisdom and the mercy of God. So there's my story.
Thanks for joining us for Streamside Stories. Click the link to subscribe and join us for more stories and virtual adventures. This isn't the only way we want to adventure together, though. We also want to invite you to come join us for an adventure and create some stories of your own. To do so, head to www.yd.org to connect with us and our basis to start your journey today. Thanks.